What's up, Commanders fans? We got some great news to tell you about our first round draft pick from last season, Emmanuel Forbes. And this season is very different for him. And of course, we got a new regime, but he's honestly doing something different. And this regime is helping him do that different thing. And that thing is put on some weight. You know, the biggest issue we had with him last season was that he was going to get pushed around because he was lightweight.
You know, what I don't like about Emmanuel Forbes, Mike, just as a little, is he's not the best man-to-man guy. You know, flipping his hips, changing directions are not the greatest, and he's 166 pounds. Now, he flies, and he plays a lot more physical than 166 pound, and he's long, and he's very good in zone.
And this season, he's taking notice, and he's doing those things. He's eating his steak and rice, and he's taking initiative, and he's putting on weight. But hopefully this year that weight can help him be more physical.
I think you want to hit the markers along the way, right, Dave? So like for him, you know, adding more size, and so to be, 15 or 18 pounds heavier than he was a year ago, like that's a big step in the right direction.
And Dan Quinn came out and talked about how he's putting on 15 plus pounds. And honestly, I'm starting to notice it. And, just 2 months ago, we were talking about a picture that came out with him and another kid from his camp. And we seen Emmanuel Forbes' legs. And his legs told us everything we needed to know. A lot of people felt like he wasn't doing anything to better himself physically.
You put on 15 pounds in the offseason. How do you physically feel moving around the field?
I feel good. I put on 17, by the way. But I feel good. My body come along well, so yeah, I feel great. I'm way mentally stronger, Coach is giving me confidence and just going out there and playing good.
And I'm glad that he's doing it. And honestly, I think we got to give him more credit. If we think about last season, he was under a difficult regime that wasn't really good at developing cornerback. Of course, he didn't have a great season. Of course, he was a rookie, and he didn't have enough weight on him. So A.J. Brown, for example, was a guy that pushed him around when it came time to play against him. And A.J. Brown was like 220-plus pounds. So, of course, that was going to happen. Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio failed at that. So they got fired, and we moved on from them. The last regime just was trying to put him out there just because he was a first-round draft pick. And honestly, their jobs depended on it. And they still lost their job. We got to give Emmanuel Forbes his credit. And one is because when you think about the top cornerbacks that were rookies last season, we think about Devin Witherspoon from the Seattle Seahawks, and how he had 16 pass deflections, 3 sacks, and an interception, and a touchdown. Throughout that time, he started 14 games. And comparing that to Emmanuel Forbes, a guy that played the season, he missed a few games because he was injured, but he only started 6 games, right? And he was able to get an interception, and then throughout those 6 games that he started, he was able to get 11 pass deflections and 2 tackles for loss. So imagine if he was able to double that, just get at least 12 games. And he got his interception in his second game, right, against the Broncos. So, and of course it was a fluke interception, but he's a guy who is a ball hawk, and he can see those things when they happen. So he was able to get that in just 2 games. Imagine if he would have played 6 more games. And comparing him to Joey Porter, for example, another guy that was a rookie, and then also compare him to Christian Gonzalez, the guy that we were projected to get, but we ended up getting Emmanuel Forbes, right? And he went to the Patriots. So compare him to Emmanuel Forbes. Emmanuel Forbes, by default, had a better year than him because Christian Gonzalez got injured. So that already puts him above him for last year. And then Joey Porter, a guy that had 40-something tackles last season, but only 32 solo tackles, right? And listen to me. Emmanuel Forbes had 35 solo tackles with 11 pass deflections. And he had 1 more pass deflection than Joey Porter. Joey Porter had 32. So just think about how that puts him above Joey Porter. And Joey Porter started 11 games. So imagine what Emmanuel Forbes could have did when we get to see what locations and what schemes fit for Emmanuel Forbes this season, because he's going to be out there. It's just, where is he going to be at? The playbook is not hard for him to pick up on. That's not the issue. But the issue is him getting beat a lot. And another issue was his weight. And so Dan Quinn likes big cornerbacks, 6'1" plus, and heavy cornerbacks. So he want guys that can move. So Emmanuel Forbes is a guy that can move, but he just didn't have the weight that Dan Quinn usually likes in his cornerbacks. So he's been putting in that work and eating his rice and steak and making those extra efforts just earn a spot on his team and not be given up next year or traded or released. So I'm glad to see him do that. And I think we just got to put a lot more respect on his name because, of course, Devin Witherspoon was the top cornerback last season. But think about how close Emmanuel Forbes was to getting that. And he only started 6 games. So I'm excited for him and what he's been doing to his body. And I just hope that he's gaining that confidence back. And so just let me know how y'all feel about Emmanuel Forbes. Do you feel like he was just cheated last season because of the group that he was around, the staff that he was around? Or do you think he is just garbage? But honestly, in my opinion, I think it was just the staff. And they just started him way too early and put him out there in the fire. And, of course, their jobs was on the line, so they was making risky decisions. And one of those risky decisions was not running the ball a lot and passing it a lot. And, of course, on paper that looked good, but when you think about it, you was destroying the run game. And the run game was supposed to be there to complement the pass game. So we wasn't able to flourish last season, and you can tell we were doing everything we possibly can to keep their jobs. This season is very different. We got guys that want hungry people out there. We got Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. who want guys that are going to go out there and fight. Adam Peters went out and got guys like Mike Sanders still. And honestly, we got a lot of underestimated people on the team. So what happens when you have a lot of underestimated people on the team?